Today on ESPN Speed World, the wildest stock-bodied machines in drag racing's Pro Stockers battle it out in the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. Good morning from the starting line at the Texas Motorplex just south of Dallas, Texas. This is John Lundberg, and we're going to be covering a very special event today. The 3-round, $20,000 to win Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. Over the past 10 IHRA major events, points have been accumulated by the consistently quickest and fastest qualified Pro Stockers. And they're behind us now, waiting for the first round of competition. And here with more coverage of this incredible event is our broadcast partner, Brett Kepner.
Well, John, as you can see, I'm holding the beautiful silver chalice that will go to the winner of the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout this year. And as you pointed out, only the 8 drivers who have run consistently the quickest and fastest in qualifying at every IHRA event this year are eligible for this elite 8-car program. Now, this particular trophy will be filled up with $20,000 for the winner of this program. But as you pointed out, virtually every hitter in IHRA racing is represented. Ricky Smith, Kenny Koretsky, Warren Johnson, Harry Scriver, they're all here, and it's going to be a tremendous battle.
In the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout, qualified number 1, the 704 cubic inch mountain motored 89 Ford Probe, Ricky Smith.
Two-time national event finalist Tim Neighbors from Georgia has qualified second with his 689 cubic inch Chevy Camaro.
It's Warren Johnson in the AC Delco 500 cubic inch Oldsmobile number 3.
In the number 4 spot, Terry Adams with a 706 cubic inch Pontiac Trans Am sponsored by Williford Farms.
From Simi Valley, California, the 500 cubic inch Pontiac powered Camaro of Harry Scribner number 5.
In the number 6 position, Jerry Ekman in the Ekman and Orndorff Pennzoil-sponsored 500 cubic inch Trans Am.
And it's Kenny Koretsky, Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, the number 7 qualifier in his 499 cubic inch 88 Camaro.
And the number 8 position goes to Castrol GTX team driver in his holds, Larry Morgan. Morgan barely made this Elite 8-car field, and Pat Patterson had a chance to talk with him before eliminations.
Well, thanks very much, gentlemen. The man who's qualified dead last for this event today is Larry Morgan, driver of the Castrol GTX machine. But even though he's qualified dead last, he's happy to be here, and it really is a good thing for you and the sponsor.
It's an honor to be here. You know, I'm happy for this to be here for the sponsors and Joe Hurst for putting the money up for this. It's a great deal for everybody. You know, the 8 cars and all the other guys that tried to qualify for this, you know, they're pretty pumped up about this.
Texas Motorplex, a great facility, and it's a place where we really can see some super times cut.
There ought to be, the winner of this ought to run in the high 20s.
Well, you got your hands full with the first draw there.
I run Ricky Smith the first round, and like he's the number 1 guy, and I qualified well here, and I feel like we got 600ths advantage over him right now. If I drive well, I believe I can win the race.
Best of luck to you today. We're almost ready to get it started here at the Texas Motorplex.
The Hurst Pro Stock Shootout is brought to you by the International Hot Rod Association, bringing the world of championship drag racing to you, and is sponsored by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has and always will. And by Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. Ladies and gentlemen, also by the Mr. Gasket Company and its performance people. We'll be back with the beginning of the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout following these messages. We're back at the concrete Valhalla known as the Texas Motorplex for the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout as you witness Terry Adams warming his tires. A 706 cubic inch Pontiac against this 500 cubic inch Pontiac powered Chevrolet driven by Harry Scribner.
Well, John, these two machines may not seem equal with an over 700 cubic inch power plant and a 500 cubic inch V8 in the yellow Chevrolet, but indeed with IHRA's unique Pro Stock rules, they are almost equal in performance. The big block engines, or the big 700 cubic inch mountain motor machines, have to weigh about 2,600 pounds in IHRA Pro Stock racing, while Harry Scribner's 500 cubic inch Pontiac powered Camaro can weigh in at 2,350 pounds. And so far in the 1988 season, these cars have been just about perfectly matched.
As Harry Scribner comes back out of his tire smoke, we get another quick look at the Williford Farms Terry Adams driven Chevrolet Camaro. And right now, let's go to the pits for an interview with Terry Adams.
You had a lot of real good runs this year. What do you got to do to really pull this shootout thing off? I mean, what kind of run have you got to have? What do you got to do mentally to be competitive at it?
For the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout, The 8 cars, they're so close together, it's anybody's race. It's a driver's race. He's got to get off the start line if he's going to win this race.
Adams has long been known for his starting line prowess. A longtime IHRA Pro Stock campaigner, the Scriveners just began following the national event tour this season and did quite well at several of the International Hot Rod Association national events, John.
A 2,600-pound Pontiac, ready to sprint the quarter mile with a 2,300-pound Chevrolet Camaro. IHRA's unique Pro Stock formula matches the cars, cubic inches to weight. As Brett has said, they are very close, and now they're very close to drag racing. Scrivener stage, here's Adams, motors up, out of the chute they go. Beautiful start, Scrivener off on a pass, looks like Adams is broke, and Harry Scrivener cycles into round number 2. And Scrivener's winning elapsed time 7:36 at 187.01. Adams in the 10-second bracket. Let's talk with Harry Scrivener in the pits.
Well, Harry, 1988 has been just a whole lot different than 1987. This car that you've had this year, you've won some races with it, and you've really had a machine that's been competitive, but that's a far cry from what happened in 1987.
Well, Pat, you know, in 87 we were running the Ford product, and we had a little bit of trouble getting the power out of it. There's not too many individuals that do, and we switched over to the Chevy power plant with the Pontiac motor. And the rear Morrison builds the motors, which they got all the technology in that, so we put it all together and come out with a good deal.
As far as sponsorship goes, the year that you've had has got to make a difference as far as looking for sponsorship for 1989.
Well, we're hoping that we're putting on a good enough show that the sponsor may feel that it would be to their advantage to take us on board. I think that we can do quite a bit better with a sponsor than we're doing right now because the lack of funds is kind of holding us back some. So I look for next year, if we do have a sponsor, we'll probably be up there in the top 5.
Warren Johnson, one of the greatest Pro Stock drivers in the history of the category, sits waiting patiently for the signal to begin his tire heating burnout against this man. Jerry Ekman and Bill Orndorff's yellow Pontiac Trans Am from California, sponsored by Pennzoil. And indeed, John, these machines are 2 of the absolute quickest and fastest this class has ever known. And earlier, Pat Patterson had a chance to talk with one of the great minds of this class, Warren Johnson.
Well, we're just hoping the track stays consistent. We're running well enough that, barring any unforeseen developments, we should be able to win this thing relatively easily.
To be competitive in this shootout, I mean, we're already competitive naturally or we wouldn't be here. But I think getting off the starting line first is going to be a big factor here. The competition is real keen. I know Warren's got me a little bit in performance, but anything can be made up on the starting line. I think you're going to see a good race, and we're just grateful that Hurst put this on.
Warren Johnson obviously is supremely confident. Mark those words. We'll find out at the end of this program whether that forecast comes true. If he beats Jerry Ekman, Warren Johnson has 2 more rounds of racing left. And Brett, in this field, that's a long trip.
Well, the Ekman and Orndorff team has come a long, long way in Pro Stock Eliminator, considering the fact that they started their operation in California, which is an area that is really not known for its competitive Pro Stock machines. They've done tremendously well in the Winston Series and now in IHRA Championship drag racing. Backing up for one more tire heating chirp, as it is called in Pro Stock. A very quick matter of bringing the RPMs up, sidestepping the clutch, spinning the tires over just once or twice to keep them warm. That little hop to the starting line will make sure those massive Goodyear Eagles will stay hot and sticky for ultimate traction off the starting line.
As they bring the cars into stage, a significant amount of pressure on Jerry Ekman as he admits Johnson is the quicker car. That means that he's going to try right now a whole shot against Warren Johnson. Let's see if he can bring it off. Johnson moves in, brings his R's up. Ekman won't stage. He's trying for a psych job. The starter says, stage, pal, stage, pal, stage. He will not. A green light to Warren Johnson, and the starter calls the foul. Ekman is out. Johnson goes into the next round. And Warren Johnson doesn't lift at all. 735.5 at 188.04. Ekman trails at 739, 187. Warren Johnson, 1 step closer to 20 grand. We'll be back with first round shootout action from the Motorplex following these messages. Back at the Texas Motorplex, Brett Kepner and John Lundberg with you. The $20,000 Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. Tim Neighbors against Ken Koretsky. And as the beautiful Neighbors Automotive mountain motored car backs into stage, we'll talk with Ken Koretsky.
On the first pass here, I'm just going to concentrate on cutting a good light here, hopefully a 420 light. probably be able to pull this race out.
Well, everybody's running so close. Basically, he's got to make the same runs we've always been making, just leave good. If he don't leave good, you can forget it, he'll outrun you.
And both those young men are two of the best starting line leavers, as they are called in pro stock racing, in the sport. Their reaction times to the green light are simply phenomenal. Tim Neighbors is a second-generation drag racer. His father, Calvin Neighbors, standing in front of the machine, is indeed one of IHRA's original pro stock superstars from back in the early 1970s. Ken Koretsky hasn't been in this sport that long, John, but the Exxon Superflow MacGuard Petroleum-sponsored Chevrolet is a stormer. Now, once again, we've got a pair of two completely different Chevy Camaros. The white and red machine of Koretsky from Pennsylvania, a 500 cubic inch GM corporate engine. His opponent, Tim Neighbors, a 689 cubic inch Pontiac engine that team built themselves. That means, John, that under IHRA rules, Koretsky's car can weigh about 300 pounds lighter than the team from Georgia.
They stage now the second-generation drag racer from Lawrenceville, Georgia, Mountain Motor Camaro. Top of the screen, bottom of the screen, the Exxon Superflow 500 cubic inch Camaro of Kenny Koretsky. All eyes on the starting line, staging an extremely exacting procedure here. The starter, Jim Blakely, also functioning as umpire. Motors up, they're out, and it looks like it's going to be Tim Neighbors. Koretsky giving him fits on the quarter-mile. Neighbors wins. The elapsed time, 7:37 for Neighbors at 187. Koretsky a tad slower, 7:41 at 186.
It's amazing that those two completely different types of race cars could run that close, only 0.04 of a second between them. And here's a car that ran an absolutely astounding 7:34 in qualifying for this particular battle. Larry Morgan's Castrol GTX Oldsmobile will be taking on the incredible Motorcraft Quality Parts Ford Probe of multi-IHRA world champion Ricky Smith.
Smith obviously in the race, Brett, to get his share of the 20 grand or all of it if he can pick it up. But I think that Ricky Smith at this event, as he is for the past two, is probably racing himself for two reasons. Number one, he wants to show everybody that the probe he campaigns with the so-called outmoded mountain motor engine in it is as quick and as fast and as consistent as any in the sport. And he's against a guy who has at this event become Mr. Consistency himself, Larry Morgan.
You can see Morgan's crew chief lining them up exactly in the hot rubber strips laid down on the tire heating burnout. It is imperative that these drivers get those massive rear slicks heated up on the tire heating burnout, put down strips of hot rubber on the concrete launch pad, or in this case, an entire concrete drag strip for hot rubber versus hot rubber adhesion.
And by the way, we don't recommend that our viewers try revving their engine in a parking lot the way they're doing with those pro stockers. You watch that monster tack just blip up to 6,000 in a gnat's eye. They're ready to drag race now. Out of the chute they go. And Ricky Smith moves beautifully, but Morgan is right with him. It's horsepower time, and Morgan in the Oldsmobile goes into the next round at 7:35 in an upset over Ricky Smith at 187, and Smith is out of the program. Brett, on the rerun, Morgan shows doing it again.
A 3-foot loss despite a 188-mile-an-hour charge for Smith, but the semifinals are still to come at the Hurst Shifters Pro Stock Shootout.
For the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. And surprise, Brett, Terry Adams is back in the program.
Well, the driver of the white and blue North Carolina Trans Am in the Deer Lane will be taking on this man, Larry Morgan, in the Castrol GTX Oldsmobile that has been running so strong. Now, Morgan was supposed to be taking on the Scriver brothers Camaro, but after their first-round victory over Adams, they were disqualified for a fuel violation in that California Camaro. Therefore, Adams has been reinstated to run into the semifinal round matchup. Now, he broke a rear end in that first run during eliminations, and as he performs his secondary burnout here off the starting line, he's pulling over the retaining wall again. And, John, it looks like Adams may be running into more parts problems.
A factor that can never be counted on strikes for Larry Morgan. He was ready to race. His competition broke. He gets a single run. But note this, lane choice is always a factor in drag racing. No easy pass coming up. Dejection on behalf of Terry Adams' crew, who thrashed that car for an hour without stopping to get it ready for this round, only to have the same malady strike a second time.
It certainly would appear that it is that faulty rear end that has been giving them fits all weekend long that came back to haunt them. You can see, however, in the cockpit, despite the heat of this afternoon battle, Larry Morgan is one happy man as he will take a single into that $20,000 finale.
If he's going to get lane choice, I have an idea, Brett, that he'll be karting a 7.3, 7.4, a very, very low one at that, but he's definitely got to get the car into the 186, 188 mile per hour range if he's going to be competitive in the final round.
Well, this machine, owned by longtime drag racing standout Bob Pinella, is indeed making big waves here this weekend at this event at the Texas Motorplex. Its quickest elapsed times ever, down, as you said, in the very low 730s. Will make him obviously competitive in that championship round no matter who he faces.
On the line, he leads on another pass down the quarter mile. Larry Morgan, one step closer to 20 grand, and his elapsed time on the single pass, 7:37 at 186. Morgan's ready.
Well, a 7:35 and a 7:37 back-to-back, not bad at all for the heat of the day, and that will be the mark to beat for the next pair of machines, as the winner of this battle will have to kart a quicker elapsed time if he expects lane choice in that championship dash here at the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. Once again, two-time national event finalist Tim Neighbors with the 689 cubic inch Pontiac-powered Chevy Camaro. The red and white machine from Lawrenceville, Georgia, will take on the killer, Warren Johnson. The man who, as we pointed out during the first round, John, seems almost overconfident.
Tim Neighbors, 7:37, 187 first round. Warren Johnson, 7:35, 188. Johnson has reason to be confident, but let's hope that it doesn't go into overconfidence, cycling his competitor, Neighbors, into the next round. Neighbors, a second-generation drag racer, has been literally weaned on the sport, has an undoubtedly fruitful career ahead of him, and would like right now, in less than 8 seconds, to go into the final against Larry Morgan.
Well, Neighbors may not have the experience. Warren Johnson's been racing in this category since 1970, but right now he's trying a little psychological warfare. Neither driver willing to stage first, just sitting 6 inches from the starting line in the pre-stage beam. Now Warren Johnson moves in. Neighbors brings the RPMs up and ever so carefully creeps in. They leave the starting line, and Neighbors gets a hole shot. 0.02 of a second in the bank off the starting line, and he drives away for a half-car victory in the biggest possible upset of the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. 7:36 to a losing 7:38. Neighbors' father elated with that particular victory, and indeed even Ricky Smith's crew saying we got one on the 500-inch guys.
We watch it again, and you clearly see the hole shot. Neighbors brings the wheels up off the starting line, just ahead of Warren Johnson, sets them very lightly down on the drag strip, and from that point on, never bested. A beautiful must-run for the young Neighbors. Wow, what a victory. Johnson not giving up. Neighbors with the horsepower advantage here, pulling away just a little bit further. Tim Neighbors in the final round for 20 grand, and what is most important, lane choice to boot.
What's really interesting is that neither driver has been racing for longer than 3 years in this category, but we'll be coming back with the championship final of the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout.
We're back at the Texas Motorplex as Larry Morgan prepares to race for $20,000 in the Hurst Shifters-sponsored Pro Stock Shootout.
Well, Larry, you started out dead last, but you've gotten yourself into the final round. An easy run in that semifinal pass because Terry Adams broke over there on the left side. But you got yourself in a good position for the final.
I feel that we're in a pretty good position. I just hope everything goes well for us.
You surprised at all the performance of the car today? You've really been on it.
No, I knew that we have enough power to run fast, and it's just a matter of making it go down the track. And if we get down the track good, we'll run well.
You've been there twice. Now tell me, is that the secret to it today? What's it going to take to win?
I just have to drive good and run good.
It gets down to this, a 689 cubic inch Pontiac powered Chevrolet Camaro, a 500 cubic inch Oldsmobile. For Mogren, 735 and 737. For Neighbors, 737 and 736, 187 twice. Comments from Neighbors on his final pass for 20 grand.
Tell me about the racetrack. Is it in the shape that you figured it would be, and is it going to get any better in its final pass?
The track is real good. I don't believe it's a bit of difference in the two lanes. Maybe a little psychological advantage. Maybe somebody has a different preference for different lanes, but as far as one lane to the other, you can run just as quick out of both lanes, and I think the track's real good. You can do just as good as you could anywhere.
That will set up a side-by-side, dead-even drag race on a perfect racetrack, the Texas Motorplex. Although neither driver has more than 3 seasons of pro stock experience, both were sportsman standouts. Larry Morgan was a superstar on the Winston Trail and in IHRA racing with a 4-cylinder Pontiac Fiero. Tim Neighbors was the first driver of a full-bodied passenger car in the 7-second zone in Top Sportsman.
Neighbors and Morgan for $20,000, earning cash at $2,500 a second. In the contest, Hurst sponsored, they're out of the gate. Neighbors moves beautifully, but Morgan's got a slight lead. He presses now. Morgan wins. A beautiful shot for the Oldsmobile at 7:38, 186. Neighbors second at 7:41. Another 187-mile-per-hour trap speed. Arlen Fadley, Oldsmobile Motorsports Coordinator, congratulates Larry Morgan's wife, Diane, and a happy pair of Oldsmobile lovers. Go back under the tower, waiting for the return of Larry Morgan. And Brett, let's take a look at that race again. As the celebration begins on the starting line, Larry Morgan, $20,000 richer.
Well, it's amazing how much the car in the near lane, Larry Morgan's Castrol GTX, moves around. The Oldsmobile definitely was not on a straight and narrow course. Tim Neighbors' machine ran just about flawlessly on this event, but you can see Larry Morgan driving that incredible green and white Oldsmobile all over that lane. Now, inside the cockpit, both drivers side by side pulling 4-speed planetary transmission levers. Remember, these machines are restricted to 2 4-barrel carburetors burning gasoline, both side by side at 185 plus. 15 thousandths of a second. Won it, and Pat's with both at the finish line.
All right, guys, we got 2 big winners down here. I think Tim Neighbors is happy he got where he got, and Larry Morgan, congratulations. Run a great shot, 7:38, 186. Congratulations, you win the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout.
Thank you very much. I'm sure proud of Hurst for putting this up, and happy for my sponsors, Castrol, Bob Pennell, and Oldsmobile, and all the guys back to shop. That really means a lot.
We talked to you before the race. You were the dead last guy coming out here. You had to knock off 4-time world champion Ricky Smith in that first round, and you got a bye in the second round, and you had one tough competitor here in the third round.
I'm going to tell you right now, this guy was the toughest. This is the guy I worried about. It wasn't the rest of them.
Well, Tim, a good run for you and a runner-up position in the Hurst Pro Stock Shootout. I know you got to feel good about your performance today.
Yeah, I'm happy. I would have loved to outrun him, but I mean, everybody can't win. There's got to be a loser, and I'm glad he won, you know.
Well, Larry, $20,000. What are you going to do with all that money?
I don't know what we're going to do. I'm sure we'll spend it on some R&D work because it costs a lot of money to run this Pro Stock. You got to liquidate your assets. That's what my daddy Pinella says.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Larry Morgan in the winner's circle with Tim and Beth Hyatt of the Mr. Gasket people, and right next to them, a legend in her own time, Miss Linda Vaughn. There it is, $20,000 given Larry Morgan by Billy Meyer, and Morgan is the owner of that check, Brett.
Well, like I said, only 3 years ago, Larry Morgan was one of the best in the sportsman ranks, but now he is on the top of the heap of pro stock automobiles. Indeed, the 1989 edition of the Hurst Shifters Pro Stock Shootout will feature an even larger purse, so Larry Morgan can once again shoot at being the best.
Pro Stock Shootout brought to you by Hurst, transmission controls of uncompromising quality. By Budweiser, this Bud's for you. By Motorcraft, quality parts for quality cars. And by Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has and always will.